It's retro night in McGurk Arena. Central Michigan versus Kent State gymnastics meet. The Chippewas and the Golden Flashes meet on this wonderful Sunday afternoon. There is so much stuff going on for the CMU Chippewas. Sports across the country are your CMU Chippewas, but it's Central Michigan and Kent State in gymnastics today here in McGurk Arena. Central Michigan will start on the vault behind me. They are beginning their warm-up. Kent State will go to the uneven bars first. 4 events will switch, and after we'll see who will take the crown in this dual meet as we get closer and closer to postseason play in the Mid-American Conference Championship. Last time Central Michigan competed, they competed in the Northern Illinois dual meet, and they did pretty well for Kent State. Last time against BGSU, they scored a score of 195.05. Central Michigan has consistently been in that 196 range. They got 196.125 in the Northern Illinois quad meet, and their season high score 196.475. They got second when they took on Western Michigan and Michigan State. It is retro night in the building, and the fans are still making their way in. There's about a little under 3 minutes until we actually get started. Their 4-minute touch warm-up currently underway as Kent State is getting ready for the uneven bars. It'll be Olivia Amade that starts it for Kent State. Both teams getting ready, and here's the lineup for the vault for Kent State. That'll be the second one, but it's Carly Franz, Kendra Lindway. Watch out for Rachel Dekavich. She is going to be participating in all 4. She is one of those players for the Golden Flashes who does multiple events. Here is the uneven bars will their start. It's the junior Olivia Amade. Rachel Dekavich is third, and Madison Iannunzo, the senior, at the end. The next event for Kent State would be the beam. Samantha Henry starts it off, and you see that Rachel Dekavich name. She's there every time. Junior, a lot of upperclassmen, 4 of the 6 upperclassmen for Kent State in the beam. And finally, rounding out the floor lineup for the Golden Flashes, Olivia Amade back as a junior. Rachel Dekavich goes as well. 3 juniors, a sophomore, and 2 freshmen for Kent State. About 90 seconds until we get started, and that's where Central Michigan's going to start back-to-back freshmen. Skrupa and Anthus have been great additions for the Chippewas, and Hannah Demers is right there at the 5th of 6 spots. That's how Central Michigan gets things underway. They will then head over to the bars, and it's Leah Kamichek. So both events we've seen starting freshmen. 4 juniors round out this list, with Hannah Demers will be rounding it out. Brenna Hauser and Annie Hammond right in the middle. That's something in that Western Michigan tri-meet. It was their best. There is the beam. Katie Kowalowski starts things off, and Morgan Tong, second meet back, missed sort of the first part of the year, 2021 MAC champion on the beam, and Central Michigan will round things out on arguably their strongest event, the floor. There she is, Sierra Demernis at the end, and above her, 4 juniors and a sophomore with Hannah Demers and Ashley Veglucci. Should be a great one in store as we are under 30 seconds. It's going to be Quinn Skrupa starting for Central Michigan. Olivia Amade starting for Kent State. Everyone in the building, not only fans, but the cheerleaders here as well, getting everyone hype. It's retro night. It's a beautiful Sunday, and we are less than 5 seconds away from the start of this dual meet. Quinn Skrupa getting things started for us as zeros are on the clock. So Quinn Skrupa and Amade should be starting momentarily. Quinn Skrupa, the freshman from Brandon, Manitoba, will start for CMU. Skrupa takes off for CMU. And she'll get cheers from her Chippewa bench. They all will run down and cheer Quinn Scrupa. That's first, and we'll let you know the scores as they come in as Amade starts things off for Kent State on the bars. Scrupa has been a great addition to this Chippewas. This team is really known for their returners, but having Quinn Scrupa, Ava Anthus, Leah Kamichek, this freshman class that can make an impact and almost push the competition for CMU just helps everyone. Quinn Scrupa has been that starting vault in the rotation the entire season, so has done such a good job for CMU. And now, on Kent State side of things, Olivia Amade to start things off. Amade got a 9.775 in the last meet against BGSU, the junior from Detroit, Michigan. Got a 9.8 on the bars in the Mid-American Conference Championships last year. So Amade is underway on the bars for Kent State. And a strong dismount from Amade, and that is a good start for both teams. Still waiting on scores from both. As for CMU, Ava Anthus comes up, but one more time looking at the Amade dismount. Ava Anthus from Ludington, Michigan, sticking in the home state. There she goes. A little bit of a step, but good job nonetheless. As still waiting on the scores from Amade from the bars, and Scrupa just hasn't gone to the video board. As one more time, Ava Anthus. Next up for Kent State, Bryn Sippis. Didn't compete in the last duel against Bowling Green, but is here today, second in rotation for Kent State. Both teams also adding one extra. Scores have come in. Quinn Scrupa records a 9.725. Ava Anthus records a 9.75. So good starts for the Chippewas. It's right there. You hope that the back end with the Demernis and the Demers and Katie Kowalski can get that a little bit higher. They will drop the lowest score, which right now is the 9.725 of Quinn Scrupa, as Bryn Sippis is up for Kent State. Sippis, a freshman from Durham, North Carolina, as Amade had a 9.8 on the bars. So a strong start from Amade. Can Sippis follow that and start some momentum on this first rotation for Kent State? The dismount for Sippis will be bombarded by her teammates. Next up for CMU, Elizabeth Cesseron. The sophomore competed in every event or every meet on vault during her 2 years, so a consistent mainstay in this Chippewa gymnastics program. And that is why, from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, 3rd of 6, both teams also having an exhibition competitor. As we'll take a look at that vault routine for Cesseron one more time. There is Rachel Dekavich, who is one of these gymnasts, the only gymnast for Kent State that will compete in all 4 events. She will get an all-around score at the end, but there's a reason why she is competing in every event. A 2021 All-MAC second team. She was the 2020 MAC Freshman of the Year in 2020. When she was a freshman, she had the second highest all-around score in the MAC with a 39.4. So a great job from the junior from Champion, Ohio. as Cicerone and Sippis' scores come in. Cicerone a team leading 9.775, and Sippis a tying Amade 9.8. So 2 9.8s for Kent State. If they can keep this up, they are very well off. Halfway through both routines on the first rotation, 3 vaulters for CMU. 3 gymnasts have completed the bars for Kent State as Sierra DeMernis is up for the Chippewas. Off goes the senior from Massachusetts. Sierra DeMernis will compete in 3 events. She will compete in the vault, the beam, and the floor. Great mainstay in this Chippewa program. Little preview, you're gonna get to hear from Sierra DeMernis and on her experience with CMU gymnastics. That's coming up, as right now, Carly Franz is up for Kent State, the junior from Marysville, Michigan. As we're still waiting from the score from Dekavich on the bars, and DeMernis' score comes in relatively quickly. Little to discuss from the officials as she gets a 9.8. So as it stands, Skrupa has the lowest score for CMU at a 9.725. That one will be dropped. So if Demers and Kowalowski can get that 9.8 plus, they are in a good spot after the first event. Kent State, on the other hand, is just 2 9.8s, which is very good. Still waiting on the score for Dekavich, as that is a 9.775. Lowest score for Kent State so far, but we'll see what Carly Franz can do. 2020 was a great season for her a couple of seasons ago. Had the second most points on this Kent State team, 300.4 throughout the entirety of the season. So she'll get started on the uneven bars, the 4th rotation from Carly Franz. Carly Franz hits the dismount, once again bombarded by Kent State teammates one more time. She'll get hugs from the coaching staff over at Kent State. Hannah Demers quickly starts off for the Chippewas. She'll be competing in every event for CMU, and that was her first one on the vaults. Demers, a junior from Canton, Michigan. This Central Michigan team does a great job of recruiting within the state and also recruiting without it. Some of their key contributors are from the state of Michigan. Hannah Demers, Ava Anthus, and Katie Kowalowski, just to name a few. But then they really go out everywhere else to try to recruit. They go to Ontario, they have Pennsylvania, Iowa, Georgia. Really every state in the Midwest is being represented by this CMU team, as Hannah Demers has just received a 9.9. Team leading 9.9 for Hannah Demers, a great score for the Chippewas. As Sarah Haxton will be next up for Kent State, a sophomore. Received a 9.85 on the bars against Western earlier this year, and Franz gets a 9.825. Haxton at a 9.775 against Bowling Green. They still won that meet, scoring 195.05 points, but the vault was one of their better events. One of their weaker events was the bars, but so far they've done a great job, and it was Franz's team leading 9.825, and Amade and Sippis both getting 9.8s. Each team has one gymnast left, as Haxton just completed her routine on the bars. And it is Katie Kowalowski. Katie was first team All-MAC last year on the vault in 2021, has a big vault with just beautiful lines. We'll see if she can do it again. And Katie Kowalowski does not disappoint. That'll end the 6 for Central Michigan. The lowest score will be dropped, of course, which as now it looks like it'll be Quinn Skrupa. As I think Katie Kowalowski did better than a 9.725 on that one. Demers has a 9.9 and Demernis has a 9.8, and I think Kowalowski can be right there. And a 9.85 for Central Michigan, which makes their team score a 49.075. Good start for the Chippewas. And it was Skrupa's score that was dropped as Madison Iannunzo, one of the senior leaders on this Kent State team, will begin for the Golden Flashes. Gets a little running start before jumping up to that top bar. Still waiting on that score from Haxton as Iannunzo falls off that top bar, which basically means that more than likely this score is going to be lower than a 9.775, which if that's the case, we have a very interesting matchup because Kent State right now, their score is 49.075. They haven't dropped their lowest score yet, but if Iannunzo's score is below that 9.775 that Rachel DeCavitich got, then we are looking at a tied meet after one event. So Iannunzo gets a second crack at it. So Iannunzo, after falling early, is able to still put together a nice routine, complete the dismount. We'll wait and see what her score is. And all at this point, when you're going last, is we're looking for is any chance to improve the point. Now, I don't think she got a 9.8. It's just where did she go? If it's anything less than a 9.775, Kent State's team score would be a 49.075, which is the same as Central Michigan. So Kent State is going to get one exhibition match going, and that'll be the likes of Taylor Wentland. Taylor Wentland for Kent State, a junior from Indianapolis, Indiana. Kent State actually has a couple of gymnasts from the state of Indiana. Her and Cami Klein, which you'll see in a little bit. She's a junior from Zionsville, Indiana. But Kent State really likes to stick home. A lot of Ohio, a lot of Michigan, a lot of those Great Lakes region states really represented by Kent State, as Iannunzo's score is still being determined. So Wentland waits before getting the score. Central Michigan just waiting. They will move to the bars after the completion of Wentland. One judge I see gave a 9.1. I can't see what the judge closest to me gave. And her score is a 9.075, which we predicted would be less than DeCavitich. So Iannunzo, while it would have been great to sort of improve, at the end of that first rotation, both teams have the same score. As you think you're fired up, well, look at that guy. He is fired up, and this Central Michigan team is fired up, wearing the W chain. Each gymnast gets to put that on after they complete, as the 9.075 is hoisted in the air by our official, and we will get the exhibition going. It is Wentland, and she falls as well as Iannunzo. So it is official. Both teams finishing rotation one with a 49.075. After Wentland completes her routine, there will be a break while both teams get to practice on their next event. Kent State will go to the vault. Central Michigan will go to the bars. We talked about it earlier as there's Wentland getting started. It's Carly Franz leading things off in the vault after, and Leah Kamichek starting up for CMU. But Wentland, the Indiana native, fell in the beginning just like Iannunzo. Can she bounce back? Gets the landing, and she bounces back strongly after falling in the beginning. After one rotation, both teams have 49.075, led by 9'9" Hannah Demers coming up after the break. Rotation. The first rotation was led by Hannah Demers, a 9'9" on the vault, and did a great job starting for Central Michigan. What's funny is statistically, that is not her best event. She is much stronger with her scores in the other events, so to get a 9'9" really helped this Central Michigan team, tied up exactly dead square on the nose. Both teams a 49.075 after the first rotation. Will flip it, so Central Michigan will go to the bars and Kent State will go to the vault. But before we look ahead, we will take a look at how both teams did individually last time. First for Kent State on the uneven bars, led by Sarah Haxton, got a 9.875. What hurt them was Madison Iannunzo, their sixth rotation, a 9.075. Didn't hurt them too bad because their lowest score was dropped. And flipping things over to how Central Michigan did on the vault, talked about it. Hannah Demers a 9'9", but it wasn't the only one, as Katie Kowalowski and Sierra Demernis, 9.85 for Kowalowski and a 9.8 for Demernis. Quinn Skrupa, a valiant 9.725. That was the lowest score, and that was dropped. So a great first rotation for Central Michigan, as we are about 90 seconds away from starting rotation 2. Here's the lineup for Central Michigan, previewed it at the beginning, but we'll look at it one more time. The biggest headline, the four juniors, Savannah Cotis, Brenna Hauser, Adriana Hammond, and Hannah Demers, with sprinkled in Adriana Bustello and Leah Kamichek. This is a strong rotation, especially those back three, Hammond, Bustello, and Demers, all three excellent on the bars for the Central Michigan Chippewas. Kent State, however, is no slouch on the vault as well. There's their lineup, and that has the first four upperclassmen, Carly Franz and Kendra Lindway, start things off, and Kendall Gilbert rounds it out. Rachel DeCavitich, you'll see her name every time we do this. She is in that 4 spot. We also have a couple of exhibition matches at the end, but we'll get those as they see fit, as Carly Franz and Leah Kamichek will start things out in just under 15 seconds left of their touch warm-up. It'll be Carly Franz starting things off on the vault, received a 9.775 against Bowling Green. They scored a team score of 195.075, and that was actually the second lowest score for Kent State. It was Kendra Lindway's 9.725 that was dropped, and Carly Franz's 9.775, and we will see if she can improve on that score. This is a very important rotation because Central Michigan's strength comes in those 3rd and 4th rotations. So if they can have a strong bars rotation, then this team could move. They just get a lot of momentum as Franz gets things going. The junior from Marysville, Michigan, received a 9.825 on the bars in the first rotation. So Franz will compete on the floor for Kent State, not on the balance beam. So 3 of 4 events for Franz. There she goes, rotation number 2 underway with a bang. Strong vault for Carly Franz. The running of the gymnast behind me is heard as one more time. Great speed to start for Franz, but it's all about the dismount. Good job by Franz as the first gymnast for CMU, Leah Kamichek. Leah Kamichek calls Naperville, Illinois her home, and she grew up competing with just some great talent. Her older sister, Keely Kamichek, was a gymnast at Oklahoma, and actually Keely got a perfect 10 on the bars, helped Oklahoma win a national championship, and now it's Leah Kamichek helping out Central Michigan. Smiles all across as they will give her the sunglasses and the W chain, as it was the dismount for Kamichek, and the freshman making big strides in her first year in the maroon and golds. 9-8-5 the score for Carly Franz as Kendra Lindway starts things off, actually second for the Golden Flashes. Lindway, a senior from Valley View, Ohio. Second for the Golden Flashes, as now we wait for Savannah Cotis. A 9-8-7-5 is being scored for Leah Kamichek, as Cotis from Augusta, Georgia, will start things off. Cotis competed in 5 meets last year, was second in the meet against NIU with a score, a 9-8-5 on the bars. So this is someone who will make you pay on the bars. Great start in a 9-8-7-5. How do they follow it up? Cotis with elegant lines and a beautiful form is going to have that ray added an immediate bail. As almost ready for the dismount is Cotis. A 9-7-2-5 is the score for Lindway. And Cotis lands for CMU. Olivia Amade up next on the vaults. She scored a 9-8 in the last duel against BGSU. Also, Amade competed in the bars. One more time. Three of 6 to go for Kent State. It's Brenna Hauser's turn on the bars for CMU. Competed in 2 meets on bars last year for the Chippewas. As still awaiting the score from Savannah Cotis. And Cotis, just like Kamichek, receives a 9-8-7-5. So Central Michigan starting back-to-back 9-8-7-5s. If you just strictly compare it to the vault scores, Kent State go 9-8-5, 9-7-2-5. So clearly, as we left rotation 1 tied, rotation 2 is going the Chippewas' favor. Central Michigan staying loose. Brenna Hauser getting ready to go, and so is Rachel Dekavich. Dekavich, you'll be hearing her name a lot, the 2020 MAC Freshman of the Year. She did something that not many people can do in 2020. She won every event at the Lindsey Ferris Invitational. I mean, that is just to go into, some gymnasts only have to prepare for 1 event on competition day. Dekavich has to prepare for 4 and then wins all 4 of them. Pretty spectacular. As Brenna Hauser gets a 9-8. So Central Michigan off on the bars. Still waiting on the score from Olivia Amade. As correction, Codis's score was a 9.8, not a 9.875. Still strong showing from Codis, as this is Brenna Hauser. A little bit of a step back, but good job nonetheless. One more time. That right foot stepping back just a little bit, as Rachel Dukavich to go for Kent State, off and running. A little bit of a fall there. We'll take a look at it one more time. Great speed from Dukavich. Looked like the hand placement was a little bit off, as she wasn't able to fully flip, had to step forward. So we'll see where her score goes, as there's Annie Hammond. Hammond, a junior from Elk Rapids, Michigan. Hammond has a career high on the bars of a 9.95. Last year, she was MAC Specialist of the Week after placing first on the bars in a meet with Iowa State, 9.925. And last year against Kent State, got a 9.85 against the Golden Flashes. Brenna Hauser receives a 9.75, which is the lowest score, but still well done nonetheless. Still waiting on the score from Amade and Dukavich. A 9.525 is just being turned around. I believe that's Dukavich's score, if I had to guess, as Hammond is off and running for the Chippewas. Actually, that's Amade, correction, with the 9.525. Hurting the Flashes, that is the lowest score. And if Hammond can do better than the 9.525, which it appears that she did, this looks like it's going to be Central Michigan's rotation, as they have had just great numbers with Kamichek 9.875, Codis a 9.8, Hauser a 9.75, and we'll wait to see what Hammond got, but a great dismount for the Chippewas. Up next is Alyssa Guns. Guns a 9.85 last meet. Strong showing from the Golden Flashes, as we are getting to that point where we're getting at the end and you start to look at, well, what score do they need to keep it in the running? You want to get above a 9.525, so to make sure that is the score that drops, and then anything in the 9.8s would be ideal for Kent State to maybe come back after the first, really the first one with Carly Franz with the 9.85, but Lindway 9.725, Amade 9.525, as Hammond score is on the video board, a 9.825. And next up, the sophomore from Mason, Ohio, Adriana Bustello. Bustello was named to the All-MAC championship team last year just as a freshman. 9.875 score on the beam at the Mid-American Conference Championships. From that Mason, Ohio area, her dad was actually in the Air Force. They were originally from Virginia, moved to Dayton, and the rest is history. A kinesiology and exercise science major, Adriana Bustello, getting ready, and she is going, and here's the dismount. A little bit of a step back, but well done nonetheless. The big question will be, did she get higher than a 9.75? Because then Brenna Hauser's score is currently the one to get dropped. Little correction on the score. Amade and Guns, both for Kent State, got 9.825s. I was correct. The 9.525 was Dukavich. As Bustello getting a look at it one more time. Kendall Gilbert off and running. 9.85 on the vault at BGSU. And a good landing for Kent State. If you can keep it above a 9.525, then this score should count for Gilbert. They also have two exhibitions in Cammie Klein and Bryn Sippis. Central Michigan has Hannah Demers, as well as Ashley Veglucci. Veglucci's score will be the exhibition as Demers, the Michigander junior from Canton, Michigan. Demers won this event last year at the Mid-American Conference Championships, qualified to the NCAA Regionals as a bar specialist. Very dynamic bar swinger for this Chippewa. The highest national qualifying score in the MAC on this event last year. And she is showing you why. 9.825 for Gilbert, so their event score is in. We're still waiting on Demers and Bustello's score. Demers has to finish. Big dismount, hands in the air, crowded by teammates as the team score for Kent State is in, as Hannah Demers getting that WWW chain, smiles on her face. The event score, as we look at that, great move at the start for Hannah Demers as the exhibition went. Bustello received a 9.8, but the team score for Kent State is in. They received a 49.05 as there's Cammie Klein one more time. If you're not a mathematician at home, that now leads Kent State's score at a 98.125. Currently, Central Michigan is at 98.175 without the score of Hannah Demers. They could improve it, and a 9.85 for Hannah Demers. So Brenna Hauser's score will be dropped. Hannah Demers a 9.85, and this will wrap up rotation number 2. Each team has one gymnast left in an exhibition. Ashley Veglucci for CMU. Bryn Sippis will wait to go on the vault for Kent State. A 49.150 is the team score for Kent State. Or for Central Michigan, excuse me, better than their 49.075 on the vault. That puts their event total score at a 98.225. And Ashley Veglucci, the junior from New York, competed in 10 meets last year, battling, and it's a tough 6 rotation to crack for this CMU team, and their lowest score was a 9.75. There was Bryn Sippis in an exhibition, and after the second event, Central Michigan takes a slight lead. And once again, Hannah Demers starting off strong. There's Bryce Biggin, head coach of the Kent State gymnastics teams, and when he started coaching, I wasn't even alive. He has been there for a while. 11-time MAC Coach of the Year, most recently in 2017. 23 NCAA regional appearances. 8 of the last 10 years, Kent State has been dominant in gymnastics, and it's because of Bryce Biggin. Over to Central Michigan. There is head coach Christine McDonald, 3rd season with the Chippewas as head coach. She was the NCAA Central Regional Assistant Coach of the Year in 2003, has been here for a while. Christine McDonald leading the Central Michigan Chippewas, and both coaches have to be happy with how both teams have competed through first 2 meets. Those team scores right here for you at Central Michigan and Kent State. Christine McDonald coaching, and there are some fans, all maroon and gold, all fired up out. I really want to know where they got those fire hats. Did they build them? Did they buy them? I mean, that is the big question, as we are about under a minute left until we'll get started on the 3rd rotation, which sees Kent State on the floor and Central Michigan on the balance beam. After 2 rotations at Central Michigan that has a slight lead, 98.225 for CMU, a 98.125 for Kent State. It was the 49-1-5 on the bars that did so well for Central Michigan, and led by Hannah Demers. She has got 2 more events to go for the Central Michigan Chippewas. We are almost ready to start things off on that third rotation. Leading things off on the beam for Central Michigan will be Katie Kowalowski, and a new name we have not seen today, Alicia Kolivanova. You also have Adriana Bustello, Hannah Demers, Sierra Demernis, and Morgan Tong returns to McGurk Arena. We'll talk more about that when she starts. And for Kent State, it's Olivia Amade, Kennedy Weinpert, Grace Weary, Rachel Dukavich, Alyssa Guns, and Carly France will also get some exhibition matches as well. That second event, the vault, was led by Carly Franz at a 9.8. Rachel Dukavich struggled just a tad, a 9.525, but 3 gymnasts, Amade, Gilbert, and Guns, with 9.825s. And for Central Michigan, it was the bars that did very well. Leah Kamichek led things off, a 9.875 for your first competitor is great. You also had Hannah Demers, Hammond, Bustello, and Coda Sprenhauser score at a 9.75 drop. But 5 scores in 9.8 plus is a great thing if you're Central Michigan. Zeros are on the clock as Katie Kowalowski is starting for CMU. This is the first season that Katie Kowalowski is being featured in this beam lineup. A little bit of a struggle there, but good job to stay on. It's a lot more deduction of points if you fall off the beam than as opposed to sort of wobbling but staying on. A strong lead off, follows that up with really a big connection switch leap, and then she gets that dismount as leading it off is Kowalowski for CMU. Successful dismount for Kowalowski, so we will wait and see her score as Olivia Amade goes. But before we see her, we will take a look one more time of the dismount of Kowalowski. Amade starting things off, Detroit, Michigan native. Left the state of Michigan, 3 MAC schools, a couple of Big Ten schools, but decided that Kent State was the place that she wanted to be. Her best event is the floor. Last year at the NCAA Regionals, a 9.825 on the floor, part of Hunt's Gymnastics Academy, or it was before coming to Kent State. The floor routine last time saw Amade start things off with a bang with a 9.825. They had 5 great scores in one score where they struggled. Carly France had a 9.125, but she'll get a second chance, or not necessarily a second chance, but another chance against the Chippewas in McGurk Arena. Kowalowski, a 9.725. Her score being put on the video board. So it's Alicia Kolivanova's time. Amade, strong performance first on the floor, and now we'll get to talk a little bit more about Alicia Kolivanova, a junior transfer. However, this is her first season in college gymnastics, originally from Iowa City, Iowa. Alicia Kolivanova went to Air Force from 2018 to 2020. Last year, spent her time at Kirkwood Community College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, studying business admin and management. Is going to go into that switch leap half front aerial before going into that front full dismount for Alicia Kolivanova, the second of 6 to go for CMU. Also waiting on the score from Olivia Amity. Amity's score has come in at a 9.85, so a strong performance from Amity just intensifies how important it is for CMU. They have some strong competitors coming up, but to get those 1 and 2 and 3, Kolivanova dismount for the Chippewas. It is Kennedy Weinpert's turn on the floor for Kent State, a sophomore from Mentor, Ohio, as Kolivanova's dismount once again. Most of these gymnasts for Kent State, they do other events, but their best event is the floor. Weinpart a 9.875 last time against Bowling Green, was the 2018 Ohio Floor State Champion. Isn't just smart on the gymnastics mat. Graduated summa cum laude from Mentor High School in Ohio. As the first pass, couldn't see it really well. Don't know if that foot touched the gold line. Definitely could impact the score. But nonetheless, she carries on, is still waiting the score from Alicia Kolivanova, as one Ohioan competing on the floor, the next one waiting to go on the beam. Adriana Bustello getting ready to go for CMU, but until then, Weinpart getting to finish the floor routine for the Golden Flashes. Weinpart, one of these underclassmen on Kent State. They have a lot of them, and they are being thrown into the form, making impacts at such a young age in their collegiate gymnastics career. Weinpart ends her routine, as now we'll flip it over to Bustello. Take a look one more time at Weinpart. It was that first pass. Didn't get a great look as she lands and then has to step back, and that foot right there, it looks like her heel touched the line. That is going to be a point deduction. We don't know how much, and Alicia Kolivanova's score is in a 9.075, or 9.05, excuse me. That score the lowest for Central Michigan. And Adriana Bustello, who was second on the beam at the Mid-American Conference Championships last year, looks to me a strong force for CMU. Still awaiting the score from Weinpart. But Bustello, a strong performance. But it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And we will see how Bustello is able to get that dismount. Weinpart's score comes in a 9.775, so the foot on the line, not a huge deduction. Great start for Kent State, starting with a 9.85 and following a 9.775. And the momentum may be shifting back to the Mount Pleasant Chippewas, Central Michigan Chippewas, as Bustello, beautiful dismount. And you can just tell how excited she was when she stuck the landing. Look at, sticks the landing, pops up, and then the immediate just sort of, I did it, cheering with her teammates, and she gets the glasses, gets the chain, and we move on as Grace Weary for Kent State. Weary, a freshman from Klingerstown, Pennsylvania. Tri-Valley High School, was a 2019 JO National Qualifier, studying public relations and minoring in pre-law. But on the floor, Weary, 9.725. It was her score in the last time out against BGSU. It'll be Hannah Demers up next for CMU as she patiently waits not only Weary to finish the routine, but Bustello's score to come in. Weary 3 of 6 for Kent State. DeCavich, Guns, and Franz to round things off. We'll also get an exhibition from Kendall Gilbert as Weary ends a strong routine. Bustello's score comes in a 9.825 for Adriana Bustello. Take a look at one of the passes from Grace Weary. Hannah Demers up next for CMU. Demers has had no shortage of accomplishments. She was first team MAC last year on the bars, the floor, and an all-around score. It wasn't the beam, but she still competes in that all-around beam. She was a 3-time MAC Gymnast of the Week, has been MAC Gymnast of the Week this year, and has career high a 9.875 on the beam and looks to do well for Central Michigan. And this score is important because Alicia Kolivanova with a score of a 9.075, most likely Demers' score is going to count, which means there's no buffer if you get a 9.6 or 9.5. You need to be in that 9.8 range if you can. Weary's score comes in 9.725. So a strong outing, the lowest score so far for Kent State, but they have 3 gymnasts left. Demers approaching the dismount. Sticks the landing, gets the sunglasses, gets the chain. One of the best parts is when these gymnasts are so concentrated on perfecting their routine that the second the dismount is over and their routine ends, it's like a kid on Christmas, smiles, running to their friends, and it's just a great atmosphere. And you saw it at the end of that replay, just the big smile on her face, has the glasses, has the W chain. As we move on halfway through each rotation, Rachel DeCavich, the junior, champion Ohio native, 5 feet, 1 inch on the floor exercise. So 4 gymnasts have gone for CMU, 3 for Kent State. Will get the 4th of 6 here, as well as an exhibition on the floor for Kent State. Central Michigan has 2 exhibition matches in the likes of Ashley Veglucci and Amber Mueller. Demers, a 9.875, so a team leading score on the beam. Currently, it looks like Central Michigan has a slight lead, just looking at the scores, 9.875 and a 9.825 versus a 9.85 and a 9.775. The 9.725s from Katie Kowalowski and Grace Weary cancel out, but all could change as DeCavich's score will come in, as well as Sierra Demernis. Demernis has a season high of a 9.825 as one more time. DeCavich, her 3rd of 4 events. She will do all 4. This one is the 3rd. Struggled a little bit on the vault, and we'll see how the scores correspond. Their lowest score for Kent State is a 9.725, so there is room for a buffer. There isn't that room for Sierra Demernis. Career high 9.875 on the beam for the senior from Montgomery, Massachusetts. While Demernis continues her routine, the DeCavich score being turned around right now. Could be a huge score, especially if it's above a 9.725, which expected to be. But there is the dismount and the happy smile from Sierra DeMarnis. 5th of 6 to go. So Sierra DeMarnis, 5 of 6 finishes. Dekavich's score a 9.875 as Alyssa Guns, who had a 9.9 on the floor last meet against BGSU. The freshman from Royal Oaks, Michigan. Well, if the reaction from the gymnasts on their dismount is my favorite, one of my second favorite is just listening what songs and remixes that these gymnasts pick for their floor routine. Guns is competing 5 of 6. We'll see Carly Franz next and then Kendall Gilbert as an exhibition. DeMarnis' score waiting to come in as well. One judge giving a 9.65. Can't see what the other judge is giving Sierra DeMarnis, as this score will count for CMU as the 9.075 from Alicia Kolivanova, and you hope for the 9.875 from Demers and the 9.825 from Bustelo can sort of carry it, as a 9.675 is the score for Sierra DeMarnis. So Guns ends her routine. Each has one left, and for Central Michigan, it's been a while since Chippewa fans have seen her in McGurk Arena. Morgan Tong, the reigning Mid-American Conference champion on the beam, had a 9.9. Was first team All-MAC last year, has missed all of this year so far, came back at a 9.775 on the beam last meet against NIU on the road, but this is her first time in McGurk Arena this year. Morgan Tong, a senior from Markham, Ontario. 9.9 on the beam, her career high, which she accomplished in the Mid-American Conference Championships. Actually had a 9.25 at the NCAAs on beam. Good to see Morgan Tong back in the maroon and golds. And if this dismounts is a good one, you are going to be able to hear the Chippewas. Chippewas giving Morgan Tong some love as Central Michigan ends their third rotation. At least the score is being scored. They'll have 2 more exhibition matches, but we care about the score that Morgan Tong gets. Right now, their event score is a 48.15, but that is including the 9.05 that Alicia Kolivanova has, so they won't get to 49, but they could get pretty close. Carly Franz up for Kent State. Franz struggled in the meet against Bowling Green. A 9.175 was her floor score. But other than that, she has been a staple, a junior, as also a part of Hunt's Gymnastics Academy. Getting the score from Morgan Tong, whatever it is, she'll get points. She'll be one of the 6 or one of the 5 that is receiving points. Anything over a 9.05 would do it. And a 9.725 for Morgan Tong back in McGurk Arena. Their final event score, a 48.825. That puts their total score at 147.1. which Kent State has had a strong floor routine, it looks like. Kent State is going to take a slim lead. Right now as it stands, their event score is a 49-125. Total score 147.25 as Ashley Veglucci will start the exhibition phase for Central Michigan. Once Fran's score comes in, we'll be able to tell you a little bit more. Anything higher than a 9.725 will add points. Right now, they are less than a quarter of a point ahead of the Central Michigan Chippewas. Kent State 147.25. Both judges give 9 nines. So Carly Franz, who had a 9.175 last time against Bowling Green, comes back, helps out her teammate Alyssa Guns with a 9.9, and Carly Franz a 9.9 on the floor. Their event score 49.3. Total score 147.425. So 325 lead for Kent State, but we still got some exhibitions, so stay right with us as Ashley Veglucci, one of those exhibitions trying to get into that starting rotation. Veglucci, a junior from Coram, New York. As Kendall Gilbert, the final exhibition for Kent State. We do have one more exhibition for CMU. So these scores won't count to the total score, so we know the total score. It's Central Michigan trailing a little bit behind, but everything can change. But we'll get to see Kendall Gilbert trying to crack her way into that top 6 rotation, and it's a hard place to be. You just look at the top 6 for Kent State, 2 9.9s, a 9.875, a 9.85, and then 9.775 is your lowest. I mean, that is tough to beat. Gilbert, a sophomore from the Tennessee area. Amber Mueller patiently waiting to go next for Central Michigan. Mueller, a sophomore from Wheaton, Illinois, placed second on beam against BGSU at a 9.75. Her career high at the CMU quad last year, a 9.9. So Amber Mueller is definitely somebody that can be in that rotation as the score for Veglucci comes in a 9.625. That would have, if she had been in the top 6, her score would have been dropped, but still a good score for Veglucci. You just now got to work at getting that to the 9.7 and hopefully the 9.8s. So Kent State is done with their exhibitions. They will get ready to move on to the beam, and it's Central Michigan's Amber Mueller, a pre-occupational therapy student at CMU and loves a good iced tea. I mean, who doesn't? Amber Mueller on the beam for CMU. The last beam participant for CMU, Central Michigan, will move to the floor next, which that is their bread and butter and can hopefully come back. It was tied at the end of one rotation. The second rotation, Central Michigan had a slight lead, but it is all but evaporated as Kent State retakes the lead. They're up 147.425 to 147.1. And this event, Kent State, a 49.3 on the floor. Very strong execution. Mueller kind of struggled a little bit on the dismount. And the third rotation is over. Central Michigan heads to the floor, their strongest event. How do they do? How will Hannah Demers do? Find out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with rotation number 4.
Meet Sierra DeMarinis, an all-around gymnast for Central Michigan who's been rocking the maroon and gold for 4 years now and is one of the biggest leaders on that team, a skill she learned from her upperclassmen when she was young.
My seniors my freshman year were definitely super helpful. They were super positive with us, and I try to bring that along to the younger ones now, and just being super calm and positive all the time.
Being a senior herself, Sierra wants to leave the same impact that was left for her.
It's definitely hard being one of 2 seniors, but I really enjoy it and try and get some advice to the younger ones. And it's super exciting to see them succeed and achieve their goals.
Although Sierra is an all-around gymnast, she does have one event that has a special place in her heart.
I really enjoy competing floor. It's definitely my favorite, just the performance aspect of it, and finishing a floor routine and having your whole team there cheering for you is a feeling like no other.
Although Sierra's time at CMU might almost be done, she'll always be a Chippewa.
I've made so many memories over the years, but I think I'll just take away the life lessons, like being at Central and working as hard as we do as a team and individually. I just know that whatever I want to accomplish, I will.
With ESPN, this is Ben Bosher.
Chippewa fans getting their dancing on this wonderful Sunday. Great shout out to Ben Bosher on that feature of Sierra DeMarinis. She said it best. She loves the floor. Well, she's going to get a chance to do that. Team scores after 3 rotations. Kent State has a lead, 147-425 to Central Michigan's 147.1. Both teams about a minute left to prepare. 4th and final rotation. The finale, the final one, rotation number 4. All the marbles here. Who is going to go home victorious? That's what we're going to find out. Correction, a little bit of an update. Kent State score 147-425 and Central Michigan 147-150. So it's close enough where Central Michigan can come back and get a win. That's how Kent State finished the floor. Franz and Guns 9-9. The lowest score was a Grace Weirhe, only at a 9.725, so the first 5 great scores for Kent State. Their final event is the beam, and with 15 seconds left, Central Michigan getting ready to go on the floor. Struggled a little bit on the beam, but they still had some great individual scores, and they will be up there right now as Hannah Demers led things with a 9.875 and Adriana Bustello a 9.825. But Central Michigan, their best event, the floor, they're going to have to do a great job. And starting off on the floor, Alicia Kolivanova. The beam for Kent State, the starting off will be Samantha Henry, a name we have not heard in the 4th and final rotation. Kent State still in their huddle. It'll be Samantha Henry getting things going. A 9.075 against BGSU, so struggled a little bit against when they were taking on the Falcons. Henry for this Kent State team comes over from Hershey, Pennsylvania. A senior standing at 5 feet 4 inches, leading things off for Kent State as Katie Kowalowski waits. And Alicia Kolivanova will start things off for the Chippewas. But until then, you're going to have to watch some Golden Flash beam routines, and it's Samantha Henry getting us started. Rotation number 4. Central Michigan needs a lot to happen, and they just have to focus on their floor routines. They have some excellent gymnasts competing, really led by Sierra DeMarinis, who mentioned it in her feature that you saw before the 4th rotation. Loves competing on the floor and does such a great job at it. It'll be a while until we see DeMarinis, as she is usually that last one in the rotation, the strongest one for CMU. All Henry has to do now is the dismount for Kent State. Completes it. Should be a high score. Great start for the Golden Flashes, especially looking where she was last meet. Alicia Kolivanova up for CMU. She's been in the lineup every meet so far. A 2-pass routine. She finishes it with a switch half ring known as a Trevor. So we will see what Alicia Kolivanova can do for CMU. Needs a big score to start things off for the Chippewas. Waiting on the score from Samantha Henry while Kolivanova in her floor routine. Kolivanova strong so far. How will the floor routine finish? Runs off is just crowded by Central Michigan Chippewas. One more time, this wonderful pass by Kolivanova. The feet just don't move after the landing, sticks the landing, and that's going to be important because Samantha Henry just got a 9.725 for Kent State. So any chance now, this is where you start to come back, this sort of, it's the sport within the sport. As Alicia Kolivanova, you want to have that 9.8 or even better. Now up for Kent State, Sarah Haxton from Fortville, Indiana. And a 9.875, I believe, is the score for Alicia Kolivanova. One judge gave a 9.9. I think I saw the next judge a 9.85. As we'll get it turned around. 9.875 to start for CMU. A great start, and that lead that Kent State had almost cut in half on one rotation as Katie Kowalowski up for CMU. Sarah Haxton just finished her routine on the beam for Kent State. Katie Kowalowski, first season for Katie on the floor. She's going to open with a double pike and then come back with a back 1.5 front layout. So Kowalowski up for the Chippewas. Was normally just someone who competed in the vaults and the beam, now upgrading to the floor. Smile after that pass for CMU. Waiting on the score from Haxton. Kowalowski is the second of 6, followed by Pitchell, Vaglucci, Demers, and Demernis. Sarah Haxton just received a 9.875 on the beam. A great score for Kent State. Now, it's almost like her score and Kolivanova's score cancels out, and we'll see if Kowalowski can get a score better than a 9.725, as right now, Kent State is up an entire point, but obviously they have one more competitor. Alyssa Guns up for Kent State, a 9.9 on the floor, will compete again for Kent State. One judge giving Katie Kowalski a 9.85. And the exact same score from the other judge. So two 9.85s from both judges makes Katie Kowalski's score a 9.85. So Central Michigan, after two gymnasts, is outperforming Kent State on rotation number 4, but it's not about outperforming Kent State. It is, can Kent State hold off the Chippewas? And Alyssa Guns, that could have been the break that the Chippewas needed. Taylor Pitchell, I don't think is necessarily watching, but Alyssa Guns sort of falling off the beam, going to be a deduction. Is able to get the dismount, which is that most important thing, but how will her score be dictated? Alicia Kolivanova fell off and got a 9.075. So we'll see as and that is Taylor Pitchell for CMU, a high score of a 9.95. Really uses her use of tumbling. This routine, you watch it, really brings out her personality. She's going to close this routine with a double tuck, so watch out for that. But Taylor Pitchell needs a strong score after Haxton got a 9.875. Not necessarily about one or two gymnasts getting high scores for CMU. It's about all 6. Taylor Pitchell, you can see the smile on her face. Can she close out this routine strongly? Guns actually received an 8.95. So the first score that we have seen today on any event under 9, 8.95, might be the lowest score that we see and will be dropped for Kent State, assuming no one gets lower than that. And this could be the break Central Michigan needed. Taylor Pitchell blows a kiss to the crowd and ends her routine strong. Teammate Hannah Demers and others, I just saw Hannah first because she sprinted. And Taylor Pitchell, a great start for this Central Michigan, have a 9.875, a 9.85, and then whatever score Taylor Pitchell receives. 3 rotations down, or 3 gymnasts down in the 4th rotation, as Rachel Dekavich will go her 4th of 4 events. This could be a huge boost for Central Michigan, as the judge here, and this is going to be a great score. We have a 9.8 on one official. The other official gave Taylor Pitchell a 9.95, but it is the average of both, as both judges looking at something a little bit different from Taylor Pitchell. We'll see what the final score is, and it is a 9.875. So yes, a great score from Taylor Pitchell, but you would have loved to have seen the other judge maybe a little bit of a higher score, as in one judge giving a 9.95 and the other a 9.8. You don't see that very often, as Dekavich, her routine hits the dismount. A lot of times you see one judge maybe a 9.8, one a 9.75, quick and easy, but that one, a big difference. But it doesn't matter, as Central Michigan goes 9.875, 9.85, 9.875, as Ashley Beglucci now up for CMU. She upgraded her routine this year from 2 passes to 3. She's going to start off right there, a big round off BHS double tuck. It's going to come back with an E-pass of a front double twist. As anytime you can put in your routine where you stop the music and then land on the beat, I would say is a great job. Great job from the music selection and more the remix as Ashley Veglucci, strong start, but how can she finish it is what is going to be determined in her score. Also waiting on Dekavic's score as that one is going to become crucial as well. Started with some crazy train, I think that's in the background, ends with it as well. Ashley Veglucci hits the floor and does like that slow motion look up, fierceness in her eyes, and she finishes as Rachel Dekavic, a 9.25. So back-to-back struggling scores for Kent State, which means the 9.25 for Dekavic is going to count. We'll see right here, Ashley Veglucci, one of her passes. And we will wait and see her score. Someone new that we have not talked about, Riley Danielson, up for Kent State. Danielson, a senior from Minnesota. Going to need an excellent performance. As Central Michigan, their strongest event, the floor, and they are showing why. Waiting to see Ashley Veglucci's score. A 9.875 for Ashley Veglucci. And if you're counting at home, yes, that's not one, not two, but three gymnasts getting a 9.875 right now for CMU. The lowest score is a 9.85. Yes, said that correct. 9.875 is the lowest score for CMU. For context, 3 beam scores for Kent State, all under that 9.85. Danielson with the dismount, and Central Michigan, as it stands now, has retaken the lead, as it takes a lot, and once they're all done, we'll go to a break and get those team scores before really telling you who wins this event. But Central Michigan, 2 of their best gymnasts, arguably their 2 best overall around gymnasts, are going right now. It starts with Hannah Demers. We'll see Sierra Demernis next, but Hannah Demers up for the Chippewas. Demers has just a great floor routine this year and has such high energy. Her goal is really to bring the crowd involved and at home. Does the job. Hannah Demers, smile on her face, continuing the routine. So Hannah Demers, 5 of 6 to compete for Central Michigan. A 9.7 for Riley Danielson comes in, so a good score, but it's not going to, it's going to take more than that to beat these 9.875s and 9.9s and 9.85s, and whatever score Hannah Demers has received, well, if the crowd had their choice, it would be a high score, as loud cheers from not only her teammates, but the Chippewa faithful that have come in attendance. Final gymnast competing on the beam where her score will count towards the team score, Cammie Klein. Klein at a 9.875 on the beam last meet against Bowling Green for Kent State. As it stands, an event score of 47, so probably going to finish in the 48 range for this event is Kent State. 194.925 is their team score, so they're more than likely going to get to that 195 range. The problem is it's Central Michigan, as a 9.95 and a 9.9 are the 2 scores, so where 9.875s are not good enough, Hannah Demers up into that 9-9 echelon. Official score 9-9-2-5 as Klein falling off the beam, but it has been Central Michigan on the floor. (9-9-2-5) is the score as Klein hits the dismount as one gymnast left. Sierra Demernis, an anchor spot. Now her second year is going to open with a double tuck. Central Michigan coming into this event, their best score, 196.475. Right now, their score is 196.5, and that's without the score of Sierra Demernis. And all Demernis has to do is get higher than a 9.85. So an excellent performance, to say the least, from the Central Michigan Chippewas, where they struggled just a tiny bit on the beam. They are making it up on the floor. You have 3 9.875s and a 9.925 are your scores that you're counting. Even if Sierra Demernis gets less than a 9.85, her score won't count. As Klein gets a 9.81, so officially, unofficial score for Kent State, a 47.65 event score on the beam, and 195 total team score, which is better than what they did against Kent State. So they are improving as you get closer and closer to postseason play, and improving, an understatement for the Central Michigan Chippewas, currently at 196.5. It's looking like their score is going to be a team high, and Sierra Demernis putting on a show for the Maroon and Golds as that ends sort of the team score aspect of this meet. We have a couple of exhibitions, 2 floor exhibitions for Central Michigan, 1 in Kent State. Grace Weirhe for the Golden Flashes. We also have Elizabeth Buttle and Ava Anthus up for CMU. And by the one judge's score by Sierra Demernis that I can see, I think it's the Katie Kowalski 9.85 that is going to be dropped, because one official giving a 9.95, the other one giving a 9.95. Sierra Demernis, a 9.95. Follow that up with the Hannah Demers 9.925. The duo of Demers and Demernis show out, and Central Michigan on the floor show out. 9.95 for Sierra Demernis. That'll get some cheers from the CMU crowd, and a 49.5 team score, 196.65. Just an excellent performance, their best this year. And Central Michigan, we'll wait to see. Those scores are not official. The officials will sort of congregate at the end and get those scores, but as it's looking, it looks like Central Michigan is going to go home with a victory. A lot of individual accolades as well, as Central Michigan has done such a nice job. And now we'll get to see 2 exhibition competitions. Liz Buttle, a great routine starting with a double pike, then going in to a front layout, front full, and she's going to close with a double tuck. Liz Buttle up for CMU. Buttle competed in 2 meets last year, a sophomore from Shaftesbury, Vermont. A level 10 gymnast, was a 4-time New York State Championship qualifier before coming to CMU. A 9.8 career high on the floor for the sophomore. A 9.275 is the score that was given to Grace Weirhe, so the beam could be their kryptonite, as both teams struggled a little bit on the beam. It was their lowest score, but Central Michigan came back with some urgency, 49.5, as the Kent State gymnastics team huddled over by the uneven bars, talking. It's hard when Central Michigan is so dominant to see that there were a lot of improvements, a lot of great performances for Kent State. I mean, their score last time was a 195.05. Today, it's looking like it's going to be 195.05. So as small as it is, an improvement nonetheless. So Liz Buttle completed her exhibition. One more. Ava Anthus, the freshman, getting some encouragement from the upperclassmen. Ava Anthus has lots of energy. What can she do with that energy? Opening with a double pike. One of the freshmen of this team. Two siblings, loves math and anatomy. Ava Anthus' favorite movie is The Princess Bride. I know we all know that one scene that comes to mind when you think of The Princess Bride is Ava Anthus, the freshman from Ludington, Michigan, gets ready to go. So the final competitor of the CMU Kent State duel, as a 9.55 score comes across for Elizabeth Buttle. Ava Anthus looks like is going to be the future at that floor rotation with Demarnis and Demers, some upperclassmen. Demarnis, a senior. Taylor Pitchell, a junior. Demers, a junior. Coley Vanova, a junior. So there's some upperclassmen that were doing the floor exercise. So where do you get that next step of the floor exercise, Central Michigan's strongest event? Ava Anthus, mid-routine. Score won't count, but still some great experience getting able to perform a floor routine in front of the crowd, in front of your teammates, and not just performing it in McGurk Arena, not in the practice facility, is great to the motivation, to the experience, because Ava Anthus is competing in the vault. Now, those are two completely different events, but that's just the momentum of competing live can carry over into other events as we get closer and closer to postseason action. But for now, Ava Anthus and the Central Michigan Chippewas, a great performance. We're going to take a quick break, let the officials sort of make sure the scores are official, and we'll tell you how good Central Michigan did on the floor when we come back. A strong performance from Central Michigan. They take it with their best score this season, 196.65. Kent State improves to a 195.075. It was Central Michigan on the floor and the struggles of Kent State on the beam that really made the difference. Starting things off, Kent State, how did they individually do on the beam? Well, Sarah Haxton did a great job, 9.875. Samantha Henry and Riley Danielson provided that nice 2 and 3, 9.725, and the 9.7. But for Central Michigan on the floor, not one, not two, all the way to 6 great scores, but the 9.95 from Sierra Demarnis and the 9.25 of Hannah Demers really showed out. Coley Vanova, Pitchell, Vanglucci all had 9.875s that were counted as Central Michigan gets closer and closer to postseason play. Mid-American Conference Championships in a couple of weeks, but for now, Central Michigan takes the victory. This has been a production of ESPN. My name is Caleb Frank. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.